Welcome to today's episode of StaffingTec TV, leveraging the data in your CRM and ATS. StaffingTec TV is made possible by the support of StaffingTec 2018 conference sponsors, premium sponsors, DICE. Get tech talent faster and easier through DICE. And conference sponsors, JXT, providing cloud-based digital marketing solutions for staffing, firms, and corporate recruiting, and eTechie, technical skills assessment and screening made easy with expert freelance IT interviews. StaffingTec 2019 Conference and Summit is just 2 weeks away. Staffing firm leaders across the world are rethinking how they scale their businesses through technology and coming to StaffingTec to learn how. We only have a handful of passes left and ticket sales end at the end of this week. So go to staffingtech.com to secure your spot today. During each episode of StaffingTec TV, we feature one technology within the staffing tech stack. The staffing firms that are thriving today are those that are rapidly adopting technology to scale their businesses and to grow faster. Today, we're joined by StaffingTec TV conference silver sponsor, Daxtra Technologies, Terry Bustamante, to talk about how to leverage all the data living inside and outside your database to make more hires right from your ATS. And with that, I'd like to introduce Terry. Terry is our vice president. Terry's a director with Daxtra. Terry, welcome to StaffingTec TV.
Thank you, Maurice, and hello to everybody. Pleasure to be with you guys today.
All right, so tell us a little bit about Daxtra and tell us about what you'd like to cover with us today.
Yeah, really, you and I have had several conversations, and I think there's a lot of hot topics going out through the industry. But really today, I wanted to bring people up to date on who Daxtra is, where we are at today, and where we're going in the near future and beyond. As well, really educate the staffing industry on where Daxtra lies and where Daxtra fits in within the recruitment workflow within your applicant tracking system, CRM or RMS.
Yeah, okay, that sounds really great. So why don't we move on and pull up this slide here that really gives sort of a big summary of all the things that Daxtra does. I don't think people are aware of the full scope of all the different products and services that Daxtra has to offer. So Daxtra, just a little history, Daxtra was originally founded in the UK, and for many years you were the leading provider of parsers. And from there, your business kind of expanded, and now you're in so many other areas.
Absolutely, we are. So, yeah, the company did start 17 years ago by our two co-founders. They were studying computational linguistics at the University of Edinburgh. And so since then, they did bring, parsing to the industry. And I actually used to compete against Daxtra in previous life as well. So it's great to finally find myself here, maybe 10 to 8 years later. But I really truly look to Daxtra as a pioneer within the industry. I think right now there's a lot of hype around AI, machine learning, and really one thing that I just like to tell the story that it's not a bad thing throughout the last 17 years that Daxtra's story has not changed. Again, I look at us like a pioneer in the industry. We have constantly improved our solutions over the 17 years that we have been in business. One thing to point out is there is a lot of hype around the AI. I think it's important that people understand when you're going out there to evaluate solutions, challenge your reps on like what they're looking for, what type of AI they're using. I do want to point out that everything that Daxtra does is based off of NLP, which is natural language processing. So you can see on the slide there, we're parsing well over 100 million resumes today. This number is actually increased. We're parsing well over 100 million resumes today in over 40 languages. So there's machine learning on the back end. We're constantly learning from that information. But since we're doing this in 40 languages and over 35 plus industries, there's a lot of ambiguity there. So I think it's important to point out one of the differentiators between Daxtra when you start hearing all this conversation about machine learning is we are focused on a statistical analysis. So what that means is that while the machine is learning, we do have PhD linguists who are actually verifying new job skills, maybe misspellings of a job skill. It could be, or a job title, excuse me. It could be a skill, a new skill, an iteration of a skill. So we're constantly evaluating that. We get suggestions from customers. But again, we do a statistical analysis to verify that it's going to fit in for every single customer. Now, if customers want to create some type of robust taxonomy beyond that, we can definitely do that for them.
Yeah, so you just said a lot of things that I think are very important for people to understand. We talked a little bit about the University of Edinburgh. Most people don't realize that that's really where a lot of today's modern artificial intelligence began. And so Daxtra's really been using AI from the very beginning and has adopted all the modern AI that's evolved along the way. And then the other thing that you said, which I think is fascinating, is you're not a pure AI solution, and what I'm saying here is that you really bring together multiple technologies, but you also bring in human, the human piece as well. You mentioned skills and assessing specific skills. I mean, to some extent, there are limitations as far as how far you can push the AI. Here's a great example of where you can combine human intelligence and artificial intelligence to create an overall better solution. And
Absolutely.
you also talked a little bit about that robust taxonomy and how you can create a custom taxonomy. And I think that's a really important thing for people to understand. And so I want to review that a little bit with you and what that really means, because if you're a staffing firm and you have a specific niche that you're pursuing or multiple specific niches that you're pursuing, you may very well want to have your own taxonomy to describe the skills that you're pursuing within that area. So, for example, you might be pursuing a specific medical field, and you want to sort of work with Daxtra to build up a taxonomy to support skills that are specific to your industry. So, could you speak to that and why that's so important and brings so much value to a staffing firm?
Yeah, I think that most companies or most staffing firms out there are going to find a lot of value, um, you know, from our out of the box, taxonomy when we're parsing resumes or when we're searching against data.
Yeah.
The things that come into play, maybe you're working in the government space. You mentioned healthcare. It could be IT. Over time, some of these companies, they may be even targeting major colleges throughout the U.S. There are specific acronyms for those colleges. So if you needed an acronym, if you wanted every resume being parsed through the system to be flagged based off of that specific abbreviation or acronym for that college or for a specific skill in healthcare, we will ensure that we're pulling that data back, and it's going to be proprietary to that customer's instance within their ATS or CRM. So that we're capturing that data not only from the applicant side, from the abundance of resources that these folks are using or these companies are using to advertise on, but in addition, from the search side, we can apply that to the search algorithm as well against the local data. And that's really the gold mine to us. I mean, that's the differentiator between, I would say, searching on the job boards. We want to give the recruiters the ability to search over those data sources. But I think recruiters need to start having a little bit more confidence in that local talent pool. This is where their business owners have spent. I used to be on the job board side, so I know they spend thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to build up their local talent pools. So we can help them based off of maybe different skills, maybe different, again, synonyms, acronyms for companies or schools that they're looking for. We can help them build again, a taxonomy that's going to be proprietary to their business. That
Yeah.
might not necessarily be a fit for the business next door that is a competitor, right? They might need something else.
Yeah, exactly. So, for example, in a previous life, my company used to serve a very large software firm here in the Pacific Northwest that, to some extent, had its own language for describing certain skills and how you would operate. And so, what you could do in a situation like that is you could build those skills into this taxonomy that's specific to your firm, and you can then sort of track those skills uniquely so that when you want to find those candidates, you can find them very, very quickly. So in the old days, we might have tagged candidates with specific skills, right?
Correct.
And that was extremely time consuming, and there's no need for really doing that today when you have technologies like Daxter that can just automatically do that. And the goal of all of this, of course, is to help recruiters find better candidates faster, to automate that process and to speed up the whole staffing process.
Absolutely.
So you have this parsing technology, you still have the parsing technology, you're a world leader in parsing technology, but you also have technology that connects into ATS systems, for example, Bullhorn, that enables recruiters to utilize your parsing technology to find better candidates within your Bullhorn database and other ATS systems. But then your technology also extends beyond that and allows you to search job boards, for example, and to
Right.
combine those results together so recruiters can do one search in one place and bring all the candidates together in a ranked format.
That is absolutely correct. So let's start with the side of the application side. So we have a lot of customers who are posting on multiple sources using job boards, professional networking sites, social media. They have their website, email applications, all this unstructured data that is coming in to their system, or in some manner maybe being emailed to a recruiter, and it's not going through one central location. So this is, I used to work in the industry for one of the largest staffing firms in the U.S. And we used to refer, well, back then in my day, I'll say, when I used to walk through snow barefooted, but or we used to call from the yellow pages. These folks they're applying from all these sources. We used to refer to it as top drawing. Now recruiters are getting emailed these applications. They're possibly storing them in their email folders. Unfortunately, this data does not always get into the system. I have one of our largest enterprise customers. I mean, this is just tremendously outrageous numbers, but they literally received 2.5 million applications over a year's time.
Wow.
At one point, only 100,000 of those resumes actually made it into the database. Okay.
Hmm.
So with Capture, which is essentially our parser that we also license out to companies, so you do have global job boards, companies who are doing their own development, OEM partners that will embed this. But Capture is think of it as a robotic admin. So we've sold this to some of the world's largest staffing firms, global retail organizations, where they've been able to automate the process of the intake of candidates into their ATS or CRM, Literally, we're loading 95% of those candidates into the database with literally zero human interaction. So in this example, we were able to take this company from only making 100,000 of those candidates making it into the database out of the 2.5 million applications. Today, all 2.5 million are making it into the database with Capture. So think of Capture, just the audience in general, yourself, think of Capture as this robot admin for your recruiters now. Our job in AI and in automation, to me personally, and I recruited for 9 years, managed a team of recruiters, so a bunch of menial, tedious administrative tasks that recruiters are bogged down with on a day-to-day basis. Capture will automate that process. Think of it as a firewall between all of these sources, your job boards, your social sites, your website applications. We're not just going to populate, if you have a direct integration with a job board, unfortunately, sometimes only 5 to 15 to 20 pieces of data make it into the information and the resumes attached. Daxtra literally monitors every source. We then parse, run one of the most sophisticated deduplication processes in the industry to then make sure we're updating records, creating new records, and we're populating your database with all that information. That information is belongs to the company. It belongs to that staffing firm. It does not belong to the recruiter. So our model is get those people in there, and then at the same time, we'll set up automation rules to notify that recruiter that somebody has applied. And then by the time they get into that candidate profile, we've enriched these candidate profiles, if you go down there, with over 150 extracted fields from each resume, sometimes upwards of 200 plus. You'll see it on the slide there. It's almost near the bottom there, Maurice. But yeah, I mean, and when you talk about that, it's enriching that data and constantly keeping it up to date. What if somebody applies on Monster, had a different resume on Monster than they did on Dice? We're going to be able, through our deduplication rules, because we're not just looking at like an email address or last name, we're looking at first name, last name, one piece of contact information. We're looking at work history, education. So we could tell if Maurice Fuller is trying to game the system by just using a different email address. So if there are different skills, job titles, but this person had 2 different resumes on a different board, we can bring that together to update the candidate record, to enrich it, make sure it always is enriched with the most current information to make the recruiters more efficient. Okay, so that's on the application side. Now, from the search side, absolutely, we are providing some of the most robust semantic search over a client's ATS, CRM, RMS. There's a lot of terms out there for them. But what we're doing is we're actually indexing this data every, say, 10 to 15 minutes. So if a recruiter goes into a profile, changes the zip code, Terry Bustamante calls you, Maurice, and you update the record in the system saying, hey, Move, you got this certification and now got his master's degree. That information is going to be updated and indexed and then searchable within minutes. Okay.
Wow.
So we're constantly indexing the information. Not only do we index the information within the candidate record, but we're also indexing the resumes attached to that candidate profile, always searching against the most relevant information. Now, as far as bringing back the results, our objective is not to give you a yes or no. A recruiter can't even do that. I can't even tell you how many arguments I got in when I was in staffing saying my candidate was better than another recruiter, or when I was a manager having recruiters bring 2 or 3 candidates to me that I had to make the decision on. So there's always going to be ambiguity, whether I thought it was the right candidate or not. Company A might think it's the right candidate. Company B might think it's the wrong candidate. So we need to resource those candidates. So I would say, with that, we're streamlining the process. Our objective is to keep the recruiters inside of the ATS or CRM of record to make them more efficient. We are going to provide more advanced search over that local ATS or CRM to give them the confidence that they can start searching over their local database to find those golden nuggets, to find those purple unicorns, the purple squirrels, whatever you want to refer to it as.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And then simultaneously, what we're doing without the recruiter actually leaving the ATS or CRM, we're actually giving them the ability to search over external sources. So while there might be bias from certain recruiters that maybe Monster's the best source, or Career Builder's the best source, or Dice, or LinkedIn, we feel that if you give your recruiters the tools, they will be able to simultaneously, without their own, I guess, personal assumptions that maybe LinkedIn is the best source out there, they're going to be able to not only search over the local talent pool, but simultaneously search over all these external sources that they have a partnership with. We then aggregate those search results back, and we stack rank them with no bias against your local database. The
Mm-hmm.
objective, though, is to really bring that semantic-based search technology that's based off of natural language processing that we deliver to really start identifying candidates in the local database. We have use cases. I'm going to wrap this part up, but we have use cases from customers that have been with us, say, about 4 years, going on 5 years, that when they first, prior to working with Daxtra, they were making around less than 15% of their hires from their local talent pool. And today, 4 to 5 years later, they're making 50 to plus % of their hires from their local talent pool.
Wow.
So those are pretty impressive
That's a
numbers.
huge step up in your own database from using Daxtra technology. That's phenomenal, Terry. I want to
I agree.
mention one thing.
I won't disagree with you there, Maurice.
You spend a tremendous amount of money, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars in some cases, building up this resume database. You've got all these candidates that have skills. And if recruiters are searching for those skills, and if they're using traditional Boolean search, and if they don't exactly specify a word, they're going to miss that candidate. They're going to miss that opportunity to place that individual. And so the AI enables you to find candidates that humans could find, but it would just be extremely time consuming, and they might not find them unless they know exactly the right combination of keywords to search for. And Daxtra is smart enough to know how to identify those candidates based on patterns and similar acronyms that are related.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Terry.
I was going to just elaborate on that. Yeah, this is referred to as like term correction or term expansion, what we refer to as a semantic query expansion. So now what we're offering, now we are one of the only platforms out there that will allow you to not only still, if you have those Boolean black belt ninjas that want to run their searches, we allow them to do that. They have the option to include a semantic algorithm or semantic term expansion on top of that if they would like, or they can take it off. It's up to them. The other piece that we do offer is, I think that is pretty key, is we offer matching technology. So this is the ability when we're talking about misspelled words, maybe even in the job description, right, or in the resume. So what we do is we take the jobs that you have loaded in your resume. We will index those jobs, and then we will give you the ability to take that job, and what we'll do is we'll build a semantic query expansion based on that job. Okay, so now you're talking about taking multiple iterations of a specific job title or a skill and matching that against the candidates in your local database. So we're talking about building out, probably if we were to put it on paper or show it to you, it's one of the most robust Boolean search strings you'd probably ever see. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, not only we do that, so that automates the process. Once you match those jobs, we can also send, now we're going to use our semantic-based search algorithms over the local database. Everything we do with our job board partners, we are extending our semantic query expansion to those sources, but we do deliver from those job board sources, social sites, we do deliver those results back as delivered and ranked by the job board to build recruiter confidence. Now, the other piece of the automation that comes into play, so we got one-click matching and automation of matching a job to candidates. We also offer the ability to match candidates to jobs. So maybe you have a candidate that comes off an assignment, or maybe they did not get hired for a specific position in the scenario. Maybe Maurice, you and I were competing and they took your candidate over mine. Now I can go back, take that candidate and match him or her to other jobs in the system to then really send those candidates out and be proactive so that I don't lose this candidate and I start to build a relationship and trust with that candidate. And the next piece that we offer is actually matching candidates to candidates. So if you found the ideal candidate, this used to happen to me all the time. I make a placement, I go out to the company, they're like, this is the ideal candidate, come back. And I go to my recruiters and I say, hey, find me more people like this. Okay, so they're out searching for it. Now we actually have the ability to take that resume, the recruiter does, one click, build a semantic query expansion off of their resume, their job title, their skills. And again, we're looking at the context in which all these job titles and skills are written, and then we can match those candidates to candidates within the database as well.
Yep. So you can do candidates to jobs, you can do candidates to candidates, and you can do
jobs to candidates.
Jobs to candidates.
Correct.
So basically, there's all these different matching capabilities that happen automatically. They happen extremely fast that enable recruiters to be far more productive. And I want to make a point about that number we talked about before, that being able to get 50% of your candidates from your existing database, that directly impacts the amount of money that you have to spend on recruitment advertising, meaning you spend less money on recruitment advertising when you have powerful search technology to take advantage of your existing database. Also, by making your recruiters more productive, you probably don't need quite as many recruiters. You can take your top producers, make them more productive. You don't need quite as many recruiters in order to fill your orders.
Correct. This can all be set up as automated as well. So we refer to this when you're in this search process. You could literally set these searches to run through what we refer to as what's called a watchdog. So again, there's going to be a human element. Our goal is not to get rid of the recruiter's job. In my opinion, that's not where it's going. We need that human element there. We're trying to get recruiters 80, 90, 95% of the way there. And then they bring in the human element to start building relationships, giving them more time to build relationships, make calls, and connect with their talent pool.
I completely agree. This is not about taking recruiters' jobs away. This is about making recruiters more productive. And when you think about, how primitive Boolean search really is and how much time is wasted, millions of hours are wasted every year doing very primitive Boolean searches. This just makes recruiters more productive and helps them focus on the highest value activities. We're actually at the top of the hour. We've got time for one question. So the question is, how does Daxtra improve time to hire?
Well, I think we just covered a lot of that. I think improving time to hire. Make sure your candidates get into one central repository, and that's your ATS or CRM. Make sure you have a very, very robust search technology over that data. We also, one of the things I recall as a recruiter is just being in my ATS or my CRM, having to leave, go out to job board A, job board B, job board C, randomly just looking for candidates, right? So what we're trying to do is we're keeping, and staffing firms, corporate organizations love this because we're building the tools and giving the recruiters or your sourcing team the ability to stay within their local ATS or CRM while still searching over these external sources. We also have built tools where if you are doing some really Jedi Ninja based recruiting, we have tools that will automate the efficiencies. One of the tools is called Magnet. That will give you the ability to work from different web pages to automatically run deduplication checks against your system, so you're not copying and pasting a name, logging into your ATS, coming back out, going through these tedious workflows. We have solutions that will allow you to work from those specific web pages as well. So really, The objective is, again, full circle. Keep them inside of your local system. Objective is to first hopefully have them hire somebody out of your local database. If they then can't find them with a very robust semantic-based search technology, then they still have the aggregation of the external sources coming in.
Very good. Hey, I just want to mention one more thing, and that is there's a lot of different staffing technology solutions out there. But there are only a handful of technologies I would consider to be an absolute no-brainer, and Daxtra falls in that category. It's beyond obvious that this technology will make your recruiters more productive, and it will enable your company to make more placements with less operating cost overall. It will make your staffing firm more competitive. This is just a must-have technology. Every staffing firm needs to have this. So again, kudos to Daxtra for all the great work that you're doing and all the value that you're bringing to the staffing and recruitment industry, Terry.
Thank you, Maurice. It's a pleasure. Thank you for everybody on the call today. And we're looking forward to seeing everybody at the StaffingTec conference.
Yeah, thank you. So that brings us to the top of the hour. Terry, thank you for joining us. And if you're coming to StaffingTec, Daxtra will be there. Schedule one-on-one matchmaker meetings with Daxtra to get a deep dive on the technology that we talked about today and explore if it's a good fit for your business, which should be the case. Alternatively, you can go to Daxtra.com to learn more and schedule a personalized demo. This week, we have 2 episodes of StaffingTec TV. Join us again on Thursday, March 28th at 9:30 a.m. Pacific or 12:30 p.m. Eastern, when we are joined by another StaffingTec 2019 sponsor, Cloud Call. During this episode, Cloud Call Chief Revenue Officer Andrew Jones and I will discuss how modern communications technology is enabling staffing firms to offer a more tailored experience and build better relationships with candidates and customers. So thanks again, Terry. Thanks for everyone for joining us, and we hope to see you on Thursday and in Nashville in a couple weeks. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Maurice. Bye. Thank you.